That's
But Chelsea
rubbish.
Handler as well. She had that video where she was like, she's in her 50s, she didn't have children, and
Yeah.
apparently, she can, fly to France to buy herself a croissant and
Have a
can have a
guy,
guy
yeah, there,
and
and have another one there, take a jet.
right.
Yeah, and when she come back to her place, home, she's depressed. Welcome back to Relate Right.
I'm Elle.
And I'm Fab.
And here at Relate Right, we are all about relationships and helping you connect better with each other. And today, we're going to talk about why women and couples are choosing not to have children.
So, did you always wanted kids?
Yes, subconsciously.
Okay.
I don't know that, I was never the person who dreamed about being a mother. Like, how some little girls are like, oh, they have their dream wedding planned at 12 and kids and stuff. No, it wasn't like that. I just subconsciously, I knew I wanted to be a mother. I always did feel like I wasn't necessarily maternal. Not like I liked kids, just like I liked them. I just didn't really interact with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, and the kids that I did feel a connection to, that I really, really love, but those were kids that were from people that I really love. And therefore, I think it was that connection that made me love the kids more and have the patience and the want to actually hang out with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like for me, for example, I never imagined myself like a dad.
Yeah, I know.
Never. And
Do you remember how when we first got together,
yeah.
you used to say that?
Yeah.
I never.
Yeah.
I
but
never want to have kids.
we're gonna touch on this after. But the thing is you as a man, and I feel like even more now, like when I say now is this society, you're more like I need to reach my goal first, and after I'm gonna have a kid.
Yeah.
I need to reach this amount of money, and after I will have a kid. So that's why, as I have this in my mind, I wasn't dreaming or even imagine myself. I never imagined myself with a kid or to be a dad. Just even to have this thought wasn't in my mind.
Yeah.
Until recently.
Yeah.
I would say. So, yeah,
Look,
that's the thing.
there was probably a point where I kind of thought to myself, whatever, if I end up having kids, I end up having them. If I don't, I don't. And I was okay with both because I was happy within myself. Like I had reached a state of I'm happy and I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean?
Same.
But I guess meeting you really made me want that more.
Yeah, and it's the same for me.
Yeah.
Because it was even at the point when I was thinking about having kids before you, I was like, they're gonna stop me from my goal. I will have to do this, and life not gonna be about me anymore, but there will be someone else involved. So it's gonna change everything.
Yeah, it's gonna change the dynamics.
So
it's gonna change your priorities.
Exactly.
You thinking it's gonna cost so much money.
Exactly.
So it's you're gonna have to struggle.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking hey, maybe instead of, it just really depends on your mindset because you can think that way and that can be your reality.
Of course, at the moment, yeah.
Right. However, you can also be hey, maybe they're a good motivation. You know what I mean?
Maybe they're gonna help me and give me even more fuel
to reach
my goal.
Exactly.
Because now it's not just only about me.
Because it is about mindset.
That's the thing. Exactly.
Well, it is interesting though because that video we watched on the news was talking about how Western countries, the birth rate is decreasing, right? And I think it was Korea and Japan that had the lowest birth rate. Korea being 0.7.
Yeah.
Which is very, very low.
Yeah.
Whereas it takes 2.1 children to maintain a population.
Yeah.
So what correlation they have seen is the richer a country gets, the lower the birth rate. And the poorer the country is, I guess, the higher the birth rate.
Yeah, and I'm not agree with this. Just this example of differences about rich and poor. And they say rich and poor, but I don't even think it's about rich and poor. When they say rich, when you richer they are, bigger is the decrease.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like it's more capitalist, capital.
Capitalist countries?
Yeah, more the capitalist the country is, and more you will see that happen. Because our goal now is not about having a big family, the spirituality of the children, of having children, the life and everything is not about that. It's about career. It's about making money. It's about stock market, crypto money. It's about
Yeah,
all these type
but
of things who are not real goals. It's materialistic.
yeah, but would you say that in Western countries, though, like women are finally encouraged to live the life as they want? As in, like, focus on a career, have something that they're passionate about, be free to choose to work, to make their own living, to make their own money, to sustain themselves so they don't
Yes.
have to depend on a man. And as they do that, they continuously are contributing to the economy,
Yeah.
increasing the wealth of the country. But also, because they're doing that, they're like essentially sacrificing that part of themselves because they're having to focus in the workplace. So, like, culturally, I also feel like there's a difference because in some of the, if you want to say poorer countries, maybe that's not the case. Maybe the women have different roles.
And that's where I wanted to go when I talk about capitalism.
Right.
Because when the country that they call poor aren't poor. You know,
Financially.
Financially, they are poor because we know why.
Yeah.
But the country himself is not poor. That's
Well,
where
no, there is a lot of resources. The
everything's
most resources.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, it's because when the culture it's stronger than the system that they put in the Western world, you can see that there is more children because the goal it's still the family.
Well, the goal is still,
It's still to build a family. Your goal is to have children. More than having a Lamborghini
but it's
or something like that.
also for a different reason.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like people are having children because there's a lack of contraception, number one, as well, right? And maybe they want to have 8 kids. I don't know.
Yes.
But there is a lack of contraception. But also when they choose to be in a family unit, they do want to have as many kids as possible, even if they don't have the funds, because their wealth is their children.
Yeah.
Like the higher the numbers, the more powerful the family is, the more chance that you have for success,
Yes.
the more of even the more of a workforce you have, the more of a community you have. So for them, wealth is the children, it's not necessarily financial. Now it just depends on if there is enough resources to sustain the amount of children you're having.
So now there's the problem as all those countries are impacted by the capitalism and the countries from the Western world as well. Then it became a problem because when you had your land, and you could grow things and you could eat. And it was easier for your family to grow and build things, together. Of course, now it's become different with all those parameters that there is now. Of course, now.
Of course,
so
it's different.
the narrative now it's like, they are poor and they are making they are doing they are
well,
they
the
are
narrative is
they are making children. They should not make that much children because they are poor.
well, yeah, and we're gonna talk about that ethical piece of having children a little bit later, I think. But that's the thing. That is the narrative. The narrative is poor people make children because they have nothing better to do, and rich people don't because they have better things to do. You know what I mean? And that's a narrative. Now, obviously, I think in this podcast we're just gonna more so focus on the fact that in the Western society, having children
Yeah.
is just not as prevalent as it used to be. And also, in some sense, this society has started to like demonize mothers and motherhood.
I know what you mean.
So, why are women choosing not to have children in this society?
I feel like it's the system. The system is like I always say, the system is like a beast. And as a human, we adapt ourselves to survive into this system. And there is different layer. It depends where you are in the society.
Well, that's the thing. When you are living in Western society, you do have to be rich in order to have a good life. And that is the message. The message is if you don't have money, you don't have a good life. If you don't have money, you will struggle.
Yeah.
And if you don't have money, you're not going to be able to take care of your kids. And that is exactly one of the main reasons why women don't have kids. It's
Yeah.
finances, financial
Finances.
stability.
Yeah.
And men say the same thing
Yeah.
because they want to have the house, the car, the career
Yes.
all before they have a child. So there's such like a strategic planning and checklist.
This is the bigger consequences, that the financial aspect.
Right.
That's one of the consequences.
Exactly.
There is also a second consequences where they talk about that we are too much on this planet.
That is what people say.
They talk about as well the environment. Why I will put when I will make a child, when I know that he's gonna live in this type of planet where everything is dying and everything is.
I mean, look at there is a lot of devastation going on around the world.
Yes.
And humans do use 50% of all of the world's resources from all living things and beings.
Yeah.
But it's not 50% that all humans get access to, and that's the problem.
Yes.
And so there isn't too many of us.
There
It's
isn't.
just that some people have more resources than others.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
Exactly.
So, yes, sure, there is a lot of us. The population still continues to increase, even though birth rates are dropping in Western countries.
Yes.
There is still, thriving birth rates in other countries.
Yes. Yes. And that's where I come from, the thing that I was saying before. It's depend of your system and it's depend of your cultural value as well.
But I do understand when people are saying, hey, there is political uncertainty. There is devastation. There is war. Like if people are choosing not to have children in that specific environment, how can you blame them?
For sure. For sure. People who are making children when there were war before as well.
But is that because they chose to do that? Or is that because they had a lack of education when it came to contraceptives? Because that's also something, or did they have a lack of resources like condoms, like birth control pills, like all of that stuff that prevents pregnancy?
Yes.
So I don't know that it was always a choice. I don't know that it was always a choice for people to be like, hey, there's bullets flying across, the room, but I'm gonna get pregnant. I don't know any mother that would want to be pregnant in a state of distress.
Okay, yeah, you speak about in the country where there is war and everything.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like when there's devastation, economic unrest, or political unrest and stuff like that. Yeah, of course. People don't want to.
Of course, yeah.
Usually, people aren't willing to.
Yeah, that's
to
your
procreate
instinct as well.
there.
That's
Exactly.
your instinct as well.
Exactly.
It's your instinct, and we're gonna touch about it after.
But if I talk about Western society,
Yeah.
mostly, when you touched on the system,
Yeah.
and the need for financial security, that part is really interesting to me because there's so many more women in the workforce. Women care about their careers now. And what I found is that women who have careers, when they choose to be mothers, they are less respected in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, the workplace in Western countries does not support motherhood.
Yeah.
You get what, 6 weeks? 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You're not even recovered in 6 weeks.
Of course. Of course.
There's hardly any support for the father figure. And so, there are countries who absolutely support their mothers and fathers
more than others.
more than others.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about US, even Australia, I mean, Australia has a decent scheme going on, like workplace and government mixed together compared to other.
France and other,
Right.
other type of yeah.
But still,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who can't survive on that.
But
If you're not making a certain amount of money, there's a lot of people who cannot survive on that.
yes, I mean the law have been voted and created by the patriarchal side and the vision of the patriarchal side,
But
and that's why as well.
But yeah, true. But that doesn't it benefit them to have support for the children, for the next generation, for the mothers? I mean, how many breakdowns in marriages is there now? Like, how many women are doing it by themselves? When I was filling out the birth certificate of our daughter, clearly it says, 1, do I know who the father is?
Yeah.
2, does he want to be on the birth certificate? Literally, it says, does he want to be on the birth certificate? Do you want to put him on there?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's so common that women are doing it by themselves, but the system is designed for a 2-income household.
Yeah.
It's not designed for a single income. It's designed for a 2-income household. And even the support is designed for a 2-income household. If you're getting government assistance as a single mother, let's say for maternity leave, I don't know where you must be boarding. You must be living with your mom. You have to be living somewhere where you don't pay rent, because otherwise you're not going to be like, I don't know how you're going to make ends meet.
Yeah, but that is the consequences. When you talk about that, that's why I said that it's the system is built for you to make money. All the things that you talk about, yes, they're taking care of it for you to survive, but not for you to live, for you to survive.
Yeah,
it's different. So if like you said, you have the minimum salary, and you have 2 child, you're gonna I don't even know how you can survive even with the minimum salaries. So that's why after, like I said, we are animals. So in your instinct at first is to survive.
that's exactly right.
So if in this system to survive, you have to, before to make a child, think about how I will be able to survive
How will
myself
I
first.
feed this
Myself.
child?
But
Yeah,
even
that's
that,
right.
even me now, I'm surviving myself.
Right.
You know, so just the equation is easy in your head, and consciously or consciously. I'm not gonna have child now.
Yeah, you're just gonna delay it.
Exactly. Some will say, I'm okay. I don't need child because that's okay.
There's enough children.
There is enough children and things like that. But I feel even this comportment for me, it's like unconsciously. That's why you say to yourself to justify the fact that it's maybe too hard for you to imagine you with a child, with your situation now in this society. There is this as well.
Yeah, but there's also the fact that it's also very hard to find a partner to have a child with.
That's another problem as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of women, maybe they would make that decision if they were with the right person. There's even a lot of women who already have a child who don't want to have a second child because the person that they're with hasn't given them the support required. Or they're now single and, are afraid to have a child with somebody else and have another failed relationship. And even with like Tinder and all these dating apps and all this extra access to humans and like people around you, people are struggling to find the right person to procreate with.
As we are disconnected from each other more and more and more and more, it's even harder on top of your financial aspect problem that you have the fact that sometimes you are in a relationship with someone that you don't see who can be the mother of your child or the dad of your child. You know what I mean? On top of the fact that financially things are not really well. So
And
it's hard.
it is
It's
hard.
hard.
And people don't want to put their finances together because it's very difficult for people to trust each other.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because again, there's a lot of options, there's a lot of conditioning going on in society to kind of, I think, paint the family dynamic as something that's boring, something that means your life is over,
Life is over.
something that means
Yeah.
that it's like a succubus sucking the energy out of you when
Yes.
you're not going to have a good life, and sacrificing your happiness for the children is like, signing a death sentence. Like,
Yes. Yes.
when it's that's crazy to me, because having a family, is part of being human.
when you forget what is the real purpose of life, your real goals, not the one that you have in your mind because you are living in this system who tell you that to be a high value man or an high value woman, you need to have this, this, this. If you believe in that, of course, you will forget your real instinct. Or you will forget them, or you will dismiss them, or unconsciously, you're going to put them on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
depend on at which level you are into this the system that we are living now. And when you forget your real goal, and your real goal is they can tell me what they want, but procreation, it's what we are here for as well. Because when you make your child, you continue the cycle of life,
Yeah.
and life it's divine. So when you forget all this, or you don't, there is some who forget, that we don't never know, because they are child, and their parents never teach them that, so they don't even know about what I'm
But,
talking about.
as you're talking and I'm listening to you, and I completely agree, but I also am thinking, like, do you think we have an obligation not to procreate if the circumstances are wrong? Like, because there, I've read a lot about this, and a lot of research is saying how some people who have been in, abusive households don't want to continue the cycle, for example.
That's trauma, of course.
And
That's trauma.
they don't know if they can trust themselves to be good parents.
Yeah.
And they don't want to, or they're afraid of, disability or sickness or things that have gone on in their family that, maybe there's some high potential of a certain disease that they don't want to pass on to the next generation. Like, do you think that when we know something, do you think we have an obligation not to procreate?
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think we have an obligation to not create, because the child that you're gonna make
I don't agree.
can change the world that you are
They
living in.
can, sure, but it also can
So-
repeat the cycle and make it worse.
It depends what you're doing as well. That's what I mean. It's depend of you. You are the one who gonna give him the first initiation, I would say, of life. You are the one at first.
But how can you guarantee that sickness is not going to be present if that's one of the issues that you're concerned about?
But listen, that's what as well. People need to stop watching movie. Life is not a fairy tale. Life comes with hard work, problem, joy, happiness, sadness. This is life. This is a part of life. Of course, there is sickness. Of course, there is a war, because some people are blind with resources and all these things. Of course, there is this. But you know who you are. You know which human you want to create. You know that you can build inside your child the goals of the warriors of happiness. You know what I mean? I don't know how you call it, but some people who's gonna do the contrary of what the one is doing. You don't need 2 billion of people to change.
I agree. The only
change a
one person
situation.
changes the world. Sure, it starts
You
with
know what
one
I mean?
person. I get
It's,
that.
I'm not. That's what I mean. I hope it's hard to think about it sometimes.
Because it sounds utopian.
Exactly, but it's when you make a child, you have the responsibility to give your child all the necessary initiation for
Yeah,
them.
but if you know 100% with medical, backing, if you know that
Yeah.
child is going to be handicapped for the rest of their life,
Okay.
that's my point.
Okay.
Like,
You talk about this.
for example, it's an
Okay.
example.
That's different then,
Yeah.
because
So in that sense, do you have an obligation to protect this child that's not born? That's my point. Like, because I feel like
it's
you do.
difficult. It's
I feel
difficult.
like you do,
It's
because it
difficult.
doesn't just impact them, it impacts you, it impacts everybody around you, it impacts the even the system, it impacts everything.
It's difficult. I will say this choice, it's individual.
Yeah, that's true.
This choice, it's individual. No one can say to someone,
No, I don't think so. You have to do
you
that.
have
No,
you have
yeah.
to do that. So that's why this question for me don't have answer. There is some questions who don't have answer. It's depend of your situation. For this particular question,
Okay.
it's depend of your situation, And I won't be able to judge it. I won't be able to say anything, because even me,
Yeah.
I don't know how I will react at the during this moment if it's happened in my life. You know what I mean? So that's why for this question.
So these people who are choosing not to have children, for example, um, we've watched so many videos
Yeah.
where they're talking about how that's like the best decision they've made because they don't necessarily have to sacrifice for anybody. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think that that's an honest answer?
You see, I was one of them. I will
Mm-hmm.
say I was one of them when I was younger, and I was like, wow, when I watch friends or other couple who have child, and they're always like, oh, I wish. That's what they were saying. I wish I would do my child after, I will go to travel. I will have time to travel or to do this or to do that, or I wish I didn't do this or that. And they were talking about their family, or even when I was watching, they had trouble because they have the child to bring there or bring that, and they have less time for them, for the couple.
Mm.
I have all of these examples, and I was like, damn, if it's that to having a child, I think I'm well. I think I'm really good now. And finally, I feel like if you take example from your friends or from people
Mm.
next to you who maybe struggle,
Mm.
of course you're gonna think like that. But how many people are really well in their family? How many people know how to organize their family life and everything's great? You don't talk about them, you don't see them. So
Yeah,
when
because
I
people are
see
always talking about stuff that they don't like. They're
ex-
never talking about stuff they like.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. So when we were watching all those
Like
podcasts, and
that
I thought,
when we
what
watch
is,
Seth Rogen.
yeah,
Oh
and
my God.
and he was like, "Oh my God, I'm more than 40 years old." And well, when I watch those people, I'm like, "Oh, we did the good choice." But I feel like those people are lying to themselves,
He was lying. You
because
could see it.
I could feel it. I could feel it because at one point, and like I said, procreation is deep inside our instinct. So
Okay.
you can during years try to tell yourself, we make the good choice, we make the good choice, we make the good choice. But more and more and more you start to become older, when your mom is not there anymore, your dad is not there anymore. Imagine if you don't have siblings.
Mm.
You start to realize that you're alone, and and like I said, you break the cycle of the family.
Right.
So when you break this cycle, you're like, am I gonna die alone? Am I gonna leave some things on earth
Yeah, but
who's come
we are
from
born
me?
alone,
Yeah,
so why
yeah, yeah.
wouldn't
But
you
you're
want to
born,
die alone?
you're born alone, but dying knowing that a part of you is still there as well.
Mm.
It's different than dying and just dying and
Okay.
and just dying.
So you just okay, but regardless, I do think when you get older and you don't have children, now this is I'm talking about when you choose
When
not
you choose
to,
to not
not
to,
when you can't. That's
yeah,
very different.
yeah,
But when you choose not to, you start to probably regret that you made that choice because you didn't think it through.
You know what? Normally I don't do that, but I'm not gonna say probably. I'm sure that you regret.
Right.
I'm sure that you regret
Yeah.
because you're fighting against your instinct.
Yeah. Well, when we were watching that podcast by Chris Williamson
Yeah.
and I think it was Matthew Hussey, they were talking about how 8 out of 10 women who didn't have children regretted not having children. So I don't really know. They didn't intend. It's not even that they regretted. It's that they didn't intend not to have children. So basically, they wanted to have children. They assumed that they were going to have children, but then life happened and maybe it was too late.
The women are the one who have the power, the divine power, to bring the life on earth. So of course this desire and instinct must be
It's strong.
strong. I don't know how many times stronger than for a man, even if we have it as well. Because you have this power. So your body, your whole body is made to do this. Your whole body, your whole lifetime and cycle is made for you to do this.
Yeah, but with the more knowledge that we have, with more medical knowledge that we have, with more information that we have access to, I think women are getting scared to have children. Like I don't know if you remember that girl who wrote like 350 reasons not to get pregnant. And like she's talking about, stupid stuff like, oh, because you might crave gasoline and because babies breathe so loud and they suck out the energy out of you. Like
That's the thing as
you
well.
grow an extra organ that's like the size of a basketball, like just stupid stuff. And it's like,
This girl, for example, social media. This girl don't have child. First,
well, I mean,
I'm
that's
sure.
why she wrote the list.
Yeah, she don't have child. So it's
Right.
like someone who never drive a car will tell you why you don't drive a car.
Right. Yeah.
First, you can just put this video away.
Right.
Okay. But also the thing is like, of course they're gonna tell you. There will be people who gonna tell you, I don't know how many 1,000 reasons to don't have a child. There is good reason. There is bad reason, if you can call it bad reason. I don't know if you can call it bad reason. It's just like everything is not beautiful in life. Of course, sometimes it's gonna be hard. Sometimes it's gonna be difficult.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the love that you have for the child that you made is priceless.
I agree.
It's take over all this problem, all those things. You can give me,
Yes.
I don't know how much problem you can give me. I will love my child even more. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
of course.
You can say what you want.
Right.
You can say what you want. So those things first. This video is just because she wanted to have
It's
view
garbage. I
and
agree.
followers
Yeah.
and things like that.
But
That she did, by the way. She had a lot.
Millions.
Beautiful. But that's
But Chelsea
rubbish.
Handler as well. She had that video where she was like, she's in her 50s, she didn't have children.
Yeah.
And apparently, she can, fly to France to buy herself a croissant and
Yeah,
she
have
have a guy
there,
and
do
right.
these things here and have another one there, take a jet.
Right.
Yeah, and when she come back to her place, home, she's depressed. Yeah, she's depressed.
She doesn't look well, I'm not gonna lie.
She's depressed.
But
and they're not gonna say they're not gonna tell you that. You're just gonna realize one day that something happened to her and she was on anti-depression or something like that.
Look.
And then after you're gonna say, oh, but she wasn't good. Yes, because that was the
she's
purpose of
obviously
life.
exaggerating, but for the
Of
theatrics
course.
of it all.
Of
But
course.
at the same time, she's trying to say like, hey, I'm not miserable just because I didn't have kids. It was my choice and I get to do whatever I want.
I don't say that you need to judge people who say that they don't want kids.
Right.
But if you ask me about that, I would say they are fighting against their instinct.
Yeah.
They are fighting against it. And you will always have a reminder in your brain, in your body, the body will always remind you that you're fighting against some things.
Right.
If you're stubborn, see too stubborn to listen to this warning when they are there, you're gonna regret it all your life, because at one point, at a certain age, you all know that you cannot have kids anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
At one point, sometime it's finished.
Okay, well, while we're on that, it's a great segue to get into the three questions, the three crucial questions that, I wanted to ask when someone is to make this decision to assess what is the best decision for them,
Yeah.
right? So the first question is it natural? Is it natural to not want to have kids? And you touched on it being instinctive to have kids.
It's not natural
It's not natural.
to when you say I don't want to have kids, is it natural or
Yeah.
not? It's not natural. You decide in your mind to don't have kids because of your environment. If, just to finish on that, if your environment if in your environment you have a good life, you don't have to think about the survivor mode for every type of financial or whatever aspect, food and everything, you even gonna have this idea of not having child.
Right.
It's not gonna be in your head. You're never gonna think about that. You're just gonna think about who will be the mother of my child. That will be another problem for you. Which wife or which husband will be the partner for me to build a family with? That will be your problem.
Yeah, but so Dr. Armin Pandy, right?
Yeah.
He's like a marital therapist,
Yeah.
psychotherapist, psychiatrist. He's world renowned, right? And we did watch his speech on this.
Yeah.
And he says that the research shows that humans actually and animals don't have an instinct to procreate. They have a sex drive. And that sex drive leads to reproduction. Now, for me, that's a little bit contradictory because, he also talked about the biological clock and how we don't have a biological clock. We have a societal clock. And I thought, well, as a man, of course, you think you don't have a biological clock because you have an endless amount of sperm left. But as a woman,
Yes.
you absolutely do have that. And how do you explain women in their 30s who have a higher sex drive? It's not because they're just horny. It's because it does lead to reproduction.
Yes.
How do you explain that you're dropping more eggs than usual late in your 30s? How do you explain that you're more likely to have twins because of that? You're dropping these eggs to get fertilized because your body is saying, impregnate me.
Exactly.
And that's instinctive.
And I don't understand how
And
they
that's
can
biological.
I don't understand how, for example, in this video that we watch, he can say that it's even not instinct for animal. I mean, we are animal as well, so but it's not instinctive for animal. I would say there is really a small amount of animal who do sex for other things than procreation.
Absolutely.
There is, and even if it's not, it's not just to
It's like
have sex.
tenors.
It's like to resolve conflict.
Yes.
To do other things as well. There is a purpose behind
Yes,
it.
there is a purpose.
It's not porn.
Right.
Human
Right.
invent porn. Okay. It's like the drugs of the sex, this is sex drugs, it's porn, addiction of sex like a produce, sex like a tools to make money, sex like, but that's not the purpose of life.
Right.
If we put all these things away and you realize why we have this reproductive organs, why we have them, why?
To procreate.
But
and that's the other thing. So he's saying that it's not possible for us to do something against nature because nature has given us intelligence and nature has given us the tools to invent things that prevent procreation, like, for example, contraception, So
that's the things.
What he's trying to say is that we can't go against nature because man is nature, and man can't go against nature. So whatever it is that we conjure up in our minds is because nature allowed us to do so, which I found fascinating.
You go against nature when you create a contraception.
Mm.
That's the
But do
thing.
you agree that you go against nature when you create medication to heal?
To heal from what? You heal from virus that you create by other things
Mm.
that you break from the nature, from the law of the nature. When
Right.
you don't respect them, you create certain type of virus. When you do things on the food, when you do things on the water, on the sea, and everything just for money, of course you create other virus. And after you justify it, you create a problem to create another problem to have another problem. And after you say this is the problem. You know what I mean? So it's the same way that when he say that, I feel like it's a bit rubbish because you said that we are human and we create some things to stop the
But
reproduction.
that
That
is what humanity does. We create solutions that have consequences, and then we create solutions for those consequences who have consequences again. And it's an endless cycle of us thinking we're creating solutions.
we're not gonna go into this because you
But
know
that's
what
what
I'm
I'm
gonna
saying.
tell
I
you.
know,
You
but
know what I'm gonna tell you, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. Which human first? Because the civilization is old.
yeah.
It's not come from Western world. It's
Yeah.
older than this. And before there were human who wasn't impacted by all those material aspect of life that we are living in now. And their goal was to follow the law of the universe. But to do that, you need to learn as well into the universe. I would say the world,
Mm.
the house of the universe, which the nature.
Mm.
People who are living in the nature could understand what they could do, what they should do, and what they shouldn't, to keep the harmony of everything. Soon as you take those humans and you put them out on houses, on things like that, you make them weaker. You invent other things. The purpose of life is not the same anymore. You break everything. That's what I said. Our instinct of procreation is going away because of the system that we are living now.
Yeah, but it's because of the system, it's because of the pressures, and it's because women finally have a choice. Now, I don't know, I'm not saying that, every single person is different.
Yeah.
Just because a woman chooses not to have a child,
Yes.
does that mean she's fighting instinct? Maybe,
Of
but
course.
she has the choice to do that.
But she's
And
fighting. Yeah.
we can't judge her for that
She's
because
fight.
maybe there's reasons we're not aware of.
She's fighting in instinct, and now she's trying to change because of years of oppression. That's the thing that people forget as well. Women before was, and I talk about way before,
Yes.
they were only a reproductive things.
Right.
I would say, not considered even like human. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So after years and years and years and years and years and years, now that they can see a window for them
Yeah, but people, I
to
know.
have their own life in their hand, they're
Yeah.
gonna take it.
Why not?
They're gonna take it,
Exactly.
and it's a result.
Of
It's
something.
of some things. So you have to find the roots always, and that's what we forget all the time. We talk about the result, but we don't talk about the problem who lead to this result.
And it's so messed up because I think whether you choose to have kids or not, you're always labeled. And this is the other question that says, is not having children against ethics, right? So I was having a conversation with my friend the other day who doesn't necessarily want to have another child. She already has a child.
Okay.
And she said one of her friends said to her that, not, it was indirect, but and this friend is pregnant, and she said to her, well, I'm choosing to have another kid even though I didn't want to, because it's the most selfless thing I could do in this world.
Having a kid.
Yes. And I thought, how rude. Is
Yeah.
it selfless or is it selfish? Because if you know you don't want that child and you are bringing a life into this world that you don't want, it doesn't mean you're not going to love it. But you are already setting like the scene in this energy of I actually didn't want you, but I'm going to do it because it's going to make me look selfless. And I think it's more selfless not to have the child.
If you don't want it,
I mean, she already has one. She doesn't have to have
yeah,
5.
of course,
You know what I mean?
of course.
So it's more selfless to say, hey, I know what I want, and this is not it. I'm happy with what I have.
Is she lost?
Who?
The girl who said that, is she lost? That's what I mean. Does she have a problem? Does she have something in her mind? Because when you say that and you have the baby in your belly, for me, you cannot be clear in your mind when you say that and you have the baby in your belly. There is something.
Well, that's what I'm
There is
saying.
something. So it's another problem.
Well, Dr. Armin was the one who was also saying the exact opposite of that. And he was saying that parenting is selfish and that not having kids is selfless. Now, choosing not to have kids is selfless. And both statements can be true in their own right, dependent of the situation. But I feel you cannot say that as a blanket rule. Yes, there are absolutely people who have kids who are selfish and for selfish reasons.
Yeah. But the act of procreation and having a child, it's not selfish at all.
Exactly.
It's not selfish at all because you bring someone out of you. You bring someone. You bring someone on earth. That's what earth asks. The first things is procreation. We need procreation to still be for the human race.
But he's also said something that I found very interesting, and and obviously that's what separates us from other animals on Earth is the fact that we are the only ones who are aware of our own mortality. So we're the only animal who is aware that we are living for a certain amount of time.
Yes.
And so because of that, do we have a duty? And this is what I touched on earlier. Like, do we have a duty to not procreate in certain situations? And that's kind of what we talked about. But I'm trying to dig a little bit deeper to say, hey, having a child, for example, can be bad in some situations. But not having a child is never bad. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. Is there going to be a good environment or a bad environment? So if you don't have one, it's never necessarily a bad thing for the child. Whereas if you have a child, consciously, it can be in a bad circumstance. And therefore, as we're able to contemplate our past, present, future, and make decisions based on all this knowledge, is it ethical to choose to have children in environments where it's not ideal for them to thrive?
If you make a child and your goal is for you to teach your child how to change this world, I think it's ethical. If you make a child and you're not aware about what's happening in this world as well, and you just live, because it's not everyone who maybe gonna be care about what's happened out of their neighborhood.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you want to say to those people? Don't make child?
Right. Yeah,
you know
exactly.
I mean? You know what I mean? But I feel like you will help the world if you're aware of what's happened for real and you know how to teach to your child the keys, or to give an initiation about how not to change the whole world, but how to view the world as it is and how to act for the good reason for the human race. You know what I mean? So this is a big, big, big priority, I feel, when you make a child now. If we want to change some things, it's about the education that we are giving to our child. And to do that, we need to come back to our roots.
Yeah, but I also think that it's
Then it became
it's so very important to make a child out of love. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying that people need to stay together if they're miserable, but at the time of making the child,
yes,
at the time of conception, there needs to be love.
Of course.
Because that's the best human you could possibly create.
That's the thing.
Because they start off at the peak.
Even for this, it's another problem. People gonna prioritize their life and their career and their company over the fact that they have a child in the middle of this. That's the problem as well.
And that's tough, because in this society, like you said, survival is your instinct. Survival of you means survival of your family, and therefore people feel like they do need to make those sacrifices sometimes.
Yeah.
And finally, the last question is, what happens when you get older? Do you develop some sort of issues, mental health or otherwise, if you don't have children?
The same way I said, if you're not in this situation, you cannot really judge or talk about it fully. We are not old yet, so I cannot be sure of what I'm going to say. But if I listen my instinct as I was younger and I'm older than before, I can feel, but now I have a child now, but I could feel these things of not culpability, but like this instinct. It's instinct. My instinct was talking to me, was like, do you want to, if something happens to you, do you want just to disappear without nothings?
Yeah.
Without some things that you let here? Without another
legacy.
you?
Are you talking about legacy?
Legacy, but even another you, because they are a part of you. So another you here, and when I was thinking about that, I could feel that something was wrong. You know what I mean? So I imagine if you already like 60, I don't know, or something like that, 70, 60, and you cannot have child anymore. Of course, some people are going to tell me, yeah, but you can do the adoption. I don't know if it's the same. It's another topic, I guess. But imagine that you don't have child and you start to. I feel like you gonna regret. You gonna regret, and you're gonna even say to yourself, "I should. I should."
Right.
That's the thing as well.
And that's the thing. They say, research says that there's no difference between people who've chosen to have children and those who haven't. They say that people who chose not to have children develop other coping mechanisms. Like maybe they can get a dog, or they have different community associations, or they have hobbies, or they have other coping mechanisms. But even as I was reading that and listening to that and researching that, I'm like, well, that to me still sounds like a contradictory statement, because it's like, what are you coping from?
Exactly. What are you looking for that you don't have?
Well, is it companionship? Because is having children companionship? Is it okay if you have a partner but you don't have a child? Is it okay if you have a dog but you don't have a child? I don't know. Because we're social beings, and we need to feel like we belong in a community. And the best way to belong to a community is to belong to a family. And so,
who gonna be more, closer to you than your child or your partner?
Yeah.
Or your family? You can tell me that you know someone since 20 years, yes. But if you have a brother or a sister, it's still gonna be different. You know what I mean?
That's a different topic.
Yeah. That's a different topic. But it's still, I don't talk about someone who have problem.
I know.
You can have a best friend and you have problem as well. I talk about when you have a best friend and when you have a sister, everything's good.
Yeah.
there will be a difference, even if you have a best friend from 20 years.
Yeah, of course,
Your
of
sister,
course.
it's another, it's something
It's something different.
you cannot
Yeah.
compare.
Yeah.
It's some things that you feel inside you. You don't have to talk. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't have a sister.
Yeah, true.
I don't know the difference because
I can tell you because
my
I have sister and
I've
brother. True.
chosen sisters.
Yes.
So
Yes, so you can maybe feel it, but it's gonna be different as well because you, it's metaphysical. It's
well,
like
it is
it's
kind
some
of like an extension of
it's
you, isn't it?
exactly
Yeah.
exactly. When you are next to them, you know that you're not one, but
I know.
you are born in
You are the same. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's energy.
Yeah, of course.
It's energy. Things that we forgot how to receive those energy. We forgot. Like I said.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, whether or not you choose to have kids, you shouldn't be judged for it. You know what I mean? Are you going against instinct? Probably.
Yes.
Probably, most likely.
That's your choice.
But that's your choice.
Yeah.
As long as you're aware of the consequences either way, because there can be consequences in both choices.
Yes.
And these three questions that we just covered, is it, natural? Is it against nature? Is it against ethics? What happens when you're older? Are really good questions to consider when you're making a decision to go child free,
Yes.
And obviously we're not talking about people who are childless, who aren't unable to have children. That's a completely different topic.
Yes, yes.
But this is only merely for the people who are choosing to live life focused on themselves and their other relationships and not procreation.
Yeah.
But with that said, we're going to turn this topic around a little bit to our Q&A session, have a little bit of fun.
We answer to
for the end.
Yes.
Thank you, Relate Right family, for sending these questions through.
Always.
All right.
Pow.
My girlfriend's ex-boyfriend keeps messaging her and asking for advice, random chats, and check-ins. She's also helping him get his visa, and they are pretending to be together, so they have to meet occasionally and take photos. She says it's nothing and I shouldn't worry, but I'm worried. I feel she isn't telling me something. What should I do?
I'll let you comment.
Look. The fact that, look, all of this, it can be both ways. It really just depends on your girl, because she could truly just be helping the man, and he could be messaging her and checking in because she's helping him with his visa, and therefore it looks like they have to have conversations. Now, whether or not that's the right thing to do or not, that's none of my business. But what I'm trying to say is there is a reason that she is keeping in touch with him. And that reason isn't completely out of this world. Like it adds up. Now, she doesn't have an obligation to do that. She's obviously doing it because she wants to, and that's okay. It's just about what other things are happening that are making you feel insecure.
The thing is, like, is this a relationship? I would say not a relationship.
Friendship
is totally transparent.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Right.
There is no meeting without you.
Are you taking the pictures?
There is no meeting without you. There is no. You should be aware of everything.
Yeah, that's a great idea. If that's something that will make you feel better, come to the date, be their photographer. You know what I mean? Participate in the helping. And, even if he was to try to do something, he might think twice if he's seeing that you're on board and you're a helpful person.
Also you can talk about it. You can directly talk about it. And normally, if it's a good partner, he will directly readjust the things and prove you that there is nothing, reassure you by different action. I said, when they are talking, you are there. When they are doing some things, come with me, and all these things to be sure that to show you that there is nothing. You know what I mean?
And you touched on something really important, because if he's a good if he's over her and he's a good person, he will care about what you think, because any friend of your partner would care about
Yeah.
the person that their friend cares about. So that's a really good point.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Yep.
My husband and I separated last year, and we are going to file for divorce soon. He asked me to give my ring back. I think that is so disgusting. What are your thoughts?
So wait.
They're getting a divorce,
Yeah.
and the husband wants his rings back.
I mean, how much is the ring? That's the question.
I mean, who cares? I think, like, if you bought the ring from your heart, like, why do you want it back?
Why they finally cancel the thing?
Don't matter.
Don't matter.
No.
Oh shit. I don't know. I feel it's matter.
Why?
I mean,
in what instance? In what instance does it matter? In what instance is it okay to be like, hey, give me the ring back?
I mean, you're not my wife anymore.
Yo, are you serious?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I will never do this type of things. But
Right.
I'm like, I understand if someone say, listen, I don't know, you cheat on me or something like that. Give me
Okay.
my goddamn more things, okay?
Okay, that's
okay. I pay
but if she
$150,000, maybe I still paying.
$150,000,
I don't know. Those people are
well,
paying those type of
you
things.
stupid.
But I'm still maybe on loan and something like that. Give me this, give me back. my ring.
Really?
I understand people who will do that. You know what I mean? It's not like a house or something like that. It's a ring. Give me the ring. I give you
At
yours.
first it's the ring, and then it's the house, and then it's the furniture, and then it's your soul.
Probably.
Stop.
Probably.
Stop. You bought the ring with love and genuinity, and because you effed it up,
Yeah.
now you want the ring back?
Who
Please
who
sit
fucked it
down.
up?
We don't know, but it's
Okay,
probably the
That's
guy.
the thing as well.
It's probably the
it's
guy
probably
who's asking for the
Oh
ring
my
back.
God. You see that? That's why I never judge. I said if
judge.
You judge. I do. If it's the girl who do some things wrong at the same time,
Listen,
give me my ring.
the
You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. In life
is that the man did something wrong.
Okay.
The stats and the odds are more for the man doing something wrong.
If it's you, girl, give me my ring back because you don't deserve it anymore. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's
Nah.
it. No?
Nah.
Let us know.
All right, I'm dating a new woman, and we have been dating for about 3 months. I like her a lot. She has a 5-year-old son who she wants me to meet. However, I'm not keen. I feel it is a big responsibility to meet someone's kid, and honestly, I don't want to be a stepdad. What should I do?
The first thing you should do is watch our tips episode about dating a single mom and what you can have from this.
That's
and the
true.
advantage you can have from this. Watch this episode, you're going to have a lot of answers. 2, you shouldn't be scared about this. I mean, you should try.
I mean,
That's the thing as well. It can be scary when if
yeah.
you're, I don't know how old he is.
He's 5.
He's no,
Oh,
him,
the
him.
guy. Oh,
I don't know how old he is. You know, that's why as well it can be maybe challenging because it's depends how old you have and if she's older than you and all these things, you know. But I understand the stress.
Look, I understand the stress, and I understand from a person who doesn't have children, like their perspective. But you have to understand, if you're with a person who has a child, they come as a package deal. And again, if you love her, you will love him. And that's just how it works. It's the same when you're with a partner. When you love him, you got to love their parents. Even if you don't like them, let's say you don't get along with them, you got to love them. So who your partner loves, you got to love. And that's just it. And a woman with a child, they're a package deal. There is not really up to you.
Yeah.
And the pain that you might cause her by refusing this, it could be detrimental to your relationship. So you should really think about, one, are you serious enough to meet this child? Because again, is it right? Exactly.
Is the relation is serious enough for you? And don't lie to yourself and don't lie to her as well, because in generally single mom, they know what they want.
That's exactly
They
right.
know what they want, and they won't play like casino with their child.
Right.
You know what I mean? So be
So
sure
she's
that
obviously sure about you if she
Yeah,
wants to introduce you to a 5-year-old.
yeah,
That's a very sensitive age. You
yes,
know what I mean? So, and if you're not sure, then you got to really think about that. And
yeah, and directly say it. Directly say it. You know, you can say that you're not ready. You're not ready for this. You didn't see the. I mean, you didn't imagine and feel that the relation should go that way. So you prefer to go out. You know,
of the relationship.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yes,
better to
because
say it. It's
I
better
was,
to say
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I wanted to be clear because
Yeah,
I'm like, if you're delaying meeting him, you got to give a
you got
timeline.
yeah.
You can't just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm not ready now,
No,
but
no, no. Yeah, of
maybe." You know
course,
what
of
I
course, of
mean?
course, of course. If
Yeah.
you're not ready, you have to say it now.
Yeah.
And even if the relation stop from because she wanted, it's better for you, for her, for the child as
Right.
well. Meeting your child and after say, "Oh no,
Oh
I
yeah, I
don't
don't.
want,"
Right.
no, 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 no,
It's
no.
not
It's
good
not
for the
good. It's not
child.
good.
Yeah. Next.
Let's go.
All right. I met this guy who I'm head over heels for, and the other day he sent me a Snapchat of us being intimate. I had no idea he was recording me, and whilst I can't see my face, I'm very disturbed by the act. I told him off, and he said it's not a big deal and I'm overreacting, and that I should be flattered. I am paranoid he has more videos. Help me. Yo. He did
Red
like
flag, red
99%
flag, red
has more
flag.
videos.
For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big red flag for me. Where
Where's the boundaries?
where's the boundaries? Where is the respect?
Right.
First, the respect of just taking the videos. Second, when you said sorry, but it's disturbing, the answer should be, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. I delete everything. I'm gonna show you when we see each other."
Yeah, or just be like, "Hey, sorry, I thought it was something sexy or that's something that you would like, but
I delete it because you
right,
don't like it. There is no
right,
like, all these things show that this guy doesn't respect women and doesn't respect you.
facts."
So you know what you have to do. Uh, First, you need to be sure that this guy doesn't have other picture of you because I don't know how you're gonna do it. Because if he already answer you like that from the first video, I don't know how you will be able to check his phone.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't know if you
probably
if,
not.
if you even want to see him again. That's the thing as well.
Right.
So that's the problem. But you should not continue nothing. You shouldn't do nothing with this
Yeah,
guy.
his reaction to your concerns is a concern. So, definitely let that go.
Yeah,
Ask him to delete whatever he has and you got to finish this relationship somehow.
yeah. And just for protection, keep all the
Keep all the
conversation.
text messages
Yeah, if
because
you have to go further than just ask,
unfortunately,
or at least you have proof.
right. And that's
And
it.
that's a big wrap.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who could benefit. Tune into our next episode where we give you the keys to a long lasting relationship. You won't want to miss it.
And until next time, take care and nurture your relationships.
Relate right.